In a faraway galaxy, many alien worlds lived in peace. They had different cultures and ways of life. But all of this changed when the Vraxians came. The Vraxians were a powerful and cruel race. They traveled from planet to planet, conquering everything in their way. Their ships were huge and terrifying, and they showed no mercy. The aliens felt hopeless as they saw their homes being destroyed. On a planet called Zetra, leaders from different alien worlds gathered in a great hall. The room was filled with worried faces. The air was thick with fear and despair. King Zephyr of Zetra stood at the front, looking out at the crowd. His voice trembled as he spoke. "We are losing our worlds," he said. "The Vraxians will soon reach us. If we do not act now, we will be lost forever." The leaders murmured among themselves, sharing stories of loss and destruction. Some of them suggested fighting back, but others were afraid. They knew their forces were weak compared to the Vraxians. Suddenly, an elder named Eldra raised her hand. "There is one thing we can do," she said, her voice steady. "We can summon the humans." The room fell silent. Many had heard stories about humans. They were known for their bravery and cleverness. Eldra explained, "Humans are powerful warriors. They have fought battles against great odds and won. They may be our only hope." Some leaders were skeptical. "How can we trust these humans?" one alien questioned. "We do not even know if they will come." Eldra replied, "We must take the risk. We need to activate the ancient device. It has the power to open a portal to Earth. We can ask for their help." King Zephyr nodded. "If there is even a chance, we must try," he said firmly. The leaders agreed, and they gathered around the ancient device, which was covered in strange symbols and glowing lights. As they activated the device, the ground shook, and bright colors filled the room. A portal opened, swirling with energy. It looked like a doorway to another world. The leaders held their breath, hoping the humans would hear their call. Meanwhile, on Earth, Captain Sarah Wells and her team were in the middle of a training exercise. They were preparing for a mission when the air suddenly crackled with energy. A strange feeling washed over them, as if the universe was calling them. "What is happening?" one soldier asked, looking around. Captain Wells felt a strong pull towards the source of the energy. She knew something important was happening. "Stay alert!" she commanded, her heart racing. Just then, a bright light enveloped them, and the world around them faded away. When the light disappeared, the humans found themselves standing in a vast alien landscape. They were on a strange planet, and everything looked different. Brightly colored plants and strange creatures surrounded them. "Where are we?" a soldier whispered, wide-eyed. Captain Wells quickly assessed their surroundings. In front of them stood a group of aliens, their faces a mix of fear and hope. The leader stepped forward, his voice shaky but determined. "Welcome, humans. We have summoned you for help. The Vraxians are coming, and we are losing our worlds. You are our last hope." Captain Wells felt a sense of purpose. She looked at her team, and they all nodded. They were ready to fight for these beings who needed their help. "Tell us what we need to do," she said, her voice strong. "We will stand by your side." The aliens exchanged looks of relief and gratitude. They explained their situation, detailing the horrors they had faced. The humans listened closely, feeling the weight of their mission. As the meeting continued, the bond between humans and aliens began to form. They were from different worlds, but they shared a common goal to defeat the Vraxians and protect their homes. Hope started to grow among them, and they knew that together they could face the coming storm. Captain Sarah Wells and her team stood in awe as they looked at the strange alien world around them. The sky was a vibrant shade of purple, dotted with 3 suns shining brightly. The air smelled different, filled with sweet floral scents. Colorful plants swayed gently in the breeze, and unusual creatures moved quietly in the shadows. As the aliens approached, Captain Wells noticed their unique appearance. They were tall and slender, with skin that shimmered like polished gemstones. Their eyes were large and bright, filled with curiosity and a hint of fear. The humans felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. They had trained for many missions, but this was unlike anything they had ever experienced. The leader of the aliens, King Zephyr, stepped forward. His voice was calm, but there was urgency in his tone. "Welcome, brave humans. We are grateful for your arrival. Our planet is in great danger." Captain Wells took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart. "We're here to help. Please tell us everything you know about the Vraxians," she replied, her voice steady. The aliens nodded, and King Zephyr began to explain. "The Vraxians are ruthless conquerors. They destroy everything in their path, taking what they want without mercy. They have already defeated many of our worlds, and we fear we will be next." As he spoke, Captain Wells noticed how the aliens communicated with each other. They used hand gestures and expressions, their eyes sparkling with emotion. She realized that they were trying to express their fear and hope all at once. After the briefing, the humans felt the weight of the situation. They had trained for combat, but now they had to understand their new allies. Captain Wells decided that they needed to bond before the battle. "Let's share our stories," she suggested. "We need to trust each other if we want to win this fight." The aliens hesitated at first, but then agreed. One by one, they shared their experiences. Kira, a young alien warrior, spoke passionately about her family and her desire to protect her home. She described how the Vraxians had taken her childhood friend, leaving her with a burning desire for revenge. Hearing her story made the humans realize how deeply the conflict affected these aliens. It wasn't just a battle, it was personal. Captain Wells felt a connection forming between them. They were all fighting for something bigger than themselves. As they shared their stories, the humans began to open up as well. One soldier, Mark, talked about his hometown and how he joined the military to make a difference. He spoke of his family and how he wanted to create a better future for them. The aliens listened intently, and their eyes softened with understanding. With each story, the bond grew stronger. They laughed together, shared tears, and began to see each other not just as humans and aliens, but as allies with shared goals and dreams. The fear that had filled the room earlier started to fade, replaced by a sense of unity. Captain Wells looked around at her team and their new allies. She could see determination in their eyes. They were ready to fight together, no matter the cost. "We will train hard and prepare for the battle ahead," she said, her voice filled with conviction. "We will not let the Vraxians take your world. Together, we will show them our strength." King Zephyr and Kira exchanged glances, their expressions filled with hope. They felt a spark of confidence in the humans' words. The coalition was forming, and they could feel the energy of teamwork building. As night fell, the group shared a meal under the alien stars. They enjoyed strange but delicious foods, laughing and bonding over their differences. The humans found joy in the little things, and the aliens admired the humans' spirit and humor. In that moment, they knew they were not just allies. They were friends. They understood that they would fight for each other, standing side by side against the Vraxian threat. As the stars twinkled above, they looked forward to the challenges ahead, knowing that hope had been ignited in their hearts. The sun rose over the alien landscape, casting a golden light on the training grounds. Captain Sarah Wells stood with her team of human soldiers, ready to begin their first training session with the aliens. They were excited and a bit nervous. This was a new world, and they needed to work together to fight the Vraxians. King Zephyr had gathered the best warriors from different alien planets. Among them was Kira, a young and brave alien who had quickly caught Captain Wells's attention. She was eager to learn from the humans and showed great promise. "Today we will train hard," Captain Wells said, her voice strong. "We need to combine our skills and learn from each other. We can only win this battle if we work as one team." The aliens and humans nodded, ready to start. Captain Wells divided them into pairs, mixing humans and aliens to encourage teamwork. Each pair would learn from one another, sharing their strengths and techniques. Kira was paired with Mark, one of the strongest human soldiers. At first, Kira felt shy. She had never trained with humans before, and she was unsure of her abilities. But Mark smiled and encouraged her. "Just do your best. We're here to help each other," he said. They started with basic combat moves. Mark showed Kira how to throw a punch and block an attack. Kira, in turn, demonstrated some of her alien fighting techniques, which were graceful and fast. Mark watched in awe as Kira moved with agility, her strikes precise and powerful. As they trained, the bond between Kira and Mark grew. They laughed together when Kira accidentally kicked Mark's foot instead of the practice dummy. "Sorry," she giggled, her eyes sparkling. Mark chuckled. "No worries. Just aim a little higher next time." Meanwhile, Captain Wells worked with King Zephyr and other alien leaders. She taught them about human strategies and tactics, explaining how to work together in battle. The aliens were eager to learn, asking questions and practicing every move with care. During breaks, the soldiers gathered around to share stories. They talked about their homes, their families, and their dreams. The humans learned that the aliens had rich histories and cultures. In return, the aliens found inspiration in the humans' courage and determination. As the days passed, the training became more intense. They practiced fighting techniques, weapons training, and team strategies. The humans taught the aliens how to use firearms, while the aliens showed the humans how to use their energy shields and other advanced technology. Kira excelled in the training. She had a natural talent for combat and quickly became one of the best fighters. Captain Wells noticed her skill and began to trust her more. Kira was not just an ally, she was becoming a leader among the aliens. One day, after a particularly challenging training session, Captain Wells called everyone together. "I'm proud of all of you," she said, her voice filled with encouragement. "We've made great progress, but we must be ready for the Vraxians. They won't show mercy, and we can't afford to fail." The group nodded, determination shining in their eyes. They felt a sense of unity, ready to fight for their homes and loved ones. The training was hard, but it brought them closer together. They were no longer just humans and aliens, they were a team. As they prepared for their final day of training before the battle, Captain Wells had an idea. "Let's have a friendly competition," she announced. "We can test our skills and see how far we've come." The aliens cheered with excitement. They set up obstacle courses and combat challenges. The atmosphere was filled with laughter and friendly rivalry. Kira and Mark teamed up again, determined to show their skills. As they competed, they cheered for each other, pushing one another to do their best. The humans and aliens worked together, combining their strengths to overcome every challenge. By the end of the day, they were exhausted but happy. They had grown stronger as individuals and as a team. Captain Wells looked at her team and their new friends, feeling proud of what they had accomplished. They were ready to face the Vraxians, united in their mission. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the training grounds, they knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would stand together. Hope burned bright in their hearts, and they were prepared to fight for a future filled with peace and friendship. The day of the battle had arrived, and tension filled the air. Captain Sarah Wells stood on a rocky ledge, looking out over the alien landscape. The sky was dark with storm clouds, and a chill wind blew through the trees. In the distance, they could see the Vraxian ships approaching, their massive forms blotting out the light of the three suns. It was a sight that filled the hearts of everyone with dread. The humans and aliens had spent days preparing for this moment. They had trained together, shared their fears, and formed a strong bond. But now, as the Vraxians drew closer, doubt crept into their minds. Would their training be enough? "Stay strong," Captain Wells said, her voice steady. "We've worked hard to get here. Trust each other, and we will win this fight." Kira, standing next to her, nodded. "We will protect our home together," she replied, her eyes fierce with determination. The other soldiers gathered around, drawing strength from their captain's words. As the Vraxians landed, a loud thud echoed across the battlefield. The ground shook beneath them, and the aliens let out a chilling battle cry. They were here, ready to destroy everything in their path. Captain Wells raised her weapon, signaling her team. "Let's show them what we can do." The battle began. Humans and aliens fought side by side, using everything they had learned in training. The air was filled with the sounds of blaster fire, explosions, and the cries of battle. Captain Wells led the charge, her heart racing as she fired at the approaching enemy. Kira fought fiercely alongside Mark, her alien agility giving her an advantage. She darted between Vraxian soldiers, striking with precision. Mark provided cover fire, his aim steady and true. Together they worked as a well-oiled machine moving in perfect sync. As the fight raged on, Captain Wells noticed some of the aliens struggling against the Vraxians' brute strength. They were not used to this kind of warfare, and panic began to spread among them. "Stay focused," she shouted, urging them to remember their training. "Fight for each other. We are a team." Hearing her words, the aliens found their courage again. They rallied together, using their unique skills to outsmart the Vraxians. King Zephyr led a group of warriors to flank the enemy, while Kira and Mark coordinated attacks to draw the Vraxians into traps. Suddenly, a massive Vraxian commander emerged from the chaos, his armor gleaming ominously. He towered over the battlefield, bellowing orders to his troops. Captain Wells felt a chill run down her spine. This was the enemy they had feared, and he was strong. "Mark! Kira! With me!" she called, rallying her strongest fighters. They moved together, ready to face the giant. As they approached, the commander noticed them and charged, his weapon raised. The three of them worked together to take down the commander. Kira used her agility to dodge his attacks, drawing his focus away from the others. Mark and Captain Wells fired their weapons in unison, hitting the commander from both sides. The battle seemed to stretch on forever, filled with chaos and noise. But finally, with one last coordinated attack, they took down the Vraxian commander. He fell to the ground with a loud crash, and a cheer erupted from their side. "Keep pushing forward!" Captain Wells shouted, feeling a surge of hope. The tide was turning, and they had to seize the moment. The humans and aliens pressed on, their combined strength overwhelming the Vraxian forces. They fought with everything they had, and slowly but surely, the enemy began to retreat. As the last of the Vraxians fled, the battlefield fell silent. The soldiers looked around, breathing heavily, covered in dust and sweat. They had won, but at a cost. Many brave warriors lay on the ground, both human and alien. Captain Wells knelt beside Kira, who was catching her breath. "We did it," Kira whispered, tears in her eyes. "We fought for our homes." "Yes, we did," Captain Wells replied, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Together we are strong. We've shown them that they can't take our world from us." As they surveyed the battlefield, the soldiers gathered, sharing stories of bravery and loss. They realized that the battle had changed them. They were no longer just humans and aliens. They were a united force, ready to face any challenge that lay ahead. The storm clouds began to clear, revealing the bright light of the suns above. The darkness had lifted and hope filled the air. They had survived, and together they would continue to fight for a better future. The battlefield was quiet now, but the air was filled with the scent of smoke and sweat. Captain Sarah Wells stood among her soldiers, taking in the aftermath of the battle. They had won, but the victory came with a heavy heart. Many brave warriors, both human and alien, had fought valiantly and paid the ultimate price. Kira walked up to Captain Wells, her expression somber. "We lost so many," she said quietly, looking around at the fallen soldiers. Her eyes shimmered with tears. "How do we move forward?" Captain Wells took a deep breath, trying to find the right words. "We honor their memory by continuing the fight for peace," she replied gently. "Their bravery has united us, and we must build a future where their sacrifice is not in vain." The humans and aliens began to gather, sharing their stories of bravery and loss. They formed small groups, discussing what had happened and how they could work together to heal their world. King Zephyr stepped forward, addressing the crowd. "Today we stood together against a common enemy," he declared, his voice strong. "Let us celebrate our victory, but let us also remember those who fought for our freedom." The crowd erupted in cheers, their spirits lifted. They knew they had achieved something remarkable. Not only had they defeated the Vraxians, but they had also formed a bond that crossed species. As the cheers died down, Captain Wells raised her hand for silence. "Together we must rebuild," she said. "Our worlds are connected now. We have learned from each other, and we can achieve great things together. Let's start by creating a safe place for everyone to live." With newfound determination, the group began to discuss their plans. They shared ideas about building homes, sharing technology, and creating a council to ensure that all voices were heard. Everyone wanted a chance to contribute, and the sense of unity was palpable. Days turned into weeks as they worked together to rebuild their community. Humans taught the aliens how to grow crops, while the aliens introduced new farming techniques that made the process easier and faster. They combined their technologies, creating machines that could work more efficiently. As they worked side by side, friendships blossomed. Kira and Mark became inseparable, laughing and sharing stories as they dug in the dirt. Captain Wells often joined them, feeling a sense of belonging that she had never experienced before. One day, as they planted new seeds, Kira looked up at Captain Wells. "Do you think we will ever face another threat?" she asked, her voice filled with concern. Captain Wells smiled reassuringly. "There will always be challenges ahead," she said, "but we will face them together. Our strength lies in our unity. As long as we stand by each other, we can overcome anything." As they continued to work, news of their success spread across the galaxy. Other alien species heard of the humans and their allies and began to visit. They brought gifts, knowledge, and their own skills to help in the rebuilding process. With each new visitor, the community grew stronger. They formed a diverse council made up of humans and aliens, working together to maintain peace and ensure prosperity for all. They discussed laws, shared resources, and celebrated their differences. Months later, as the sun set over their new home, Captain Wells stood with her friends on a hill overlooking the thriving village. Colorful homes dotted the landscape and laughter echoed in the air. Children, both human and alien, played together, their differences forgotten in the joy of friendship. "Look how far we've come," Mark said, placing his arm around Kira. "I never thought we could build something so beautiful." Kira nodded, her heart full. "We did this together. We are stronger together." Captain Wells watched as the stars began to twinkle in the night sky. She felt hope for the future. They had created a community that welcomed everyone, regardless of their background. They were no longer just humans and aliens. They were a family. As the first stars shone brightly, Captain Wells made a promise to herself and to everyone around her. "No matter what happens, we will always fight for each other," she whispered. "Together we will build a future filled with hope and peace." With that, they turned to face the village, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. Together, they would face every challenge and celebrate every victory, hand in hand, united in their journey toward a bright future.